On January 30th, 2006, 6 people working the night shift inside this building were killed within minutes. It remains one of the deadliest workplace shootings ever carried out by a woman in the United States. But what makes this case even more disturbing is that the violence didn't actually start here. Earlier that same evening, someone had already been murdered inside a quiet condominium complex just a few miles away. And the person responsible was already on their way here. Today, we're visiting both locations connected to one of the most shocking tragedies in Santa Barbara County history. Hey everyone, welcome back to As Seen by Dave. Today we're in Goleta, California, just outside Santa Barbara. And if you're familiar with this area, Goleta is usually known for its beaches, quiet neighborhoods, and being right next to UC Santa Barbara. It's not the kind of place most people associate with a story like this, but in 2006, this peaceful coastal community became the site of a tragedy that shocked the entire country. Before we talk about what happened here, we need to start somewhere else. This is the 5200 block of Overpass Road in Santa Barbara, just an ordinary looking condominium complex. But on the evening of January 30th, 2006, a woman named Beverly Graham was inside her condo here. Beverly was 54 years old. Neighbors described her as friendly and quiet. But that evening, someone came to this complex looking for her. That person was Jennifer San Marco. San Marco had previously lived in the same condo complex years earlier. Investigators believe the two women had disagreements while living near each other. At some point that evening, Jennifer San Marco entered the complex and shot Beverly Graham inside her home. Neighbors later reported hearing gunshots, but at the time, no one realized what had happened, and no one realized the person responsible had already left. Because after the shooting here, Jennifer San Marco got into her car and drove toward Goleta. From this condo complex in Santa Barbara, it's about a 10 to 15 minute drive to Goleta Postal Processing Facility. And that's exactly where San Marco was headed. But this wasn't a random destination. It was a place tied to her past and a place where she believed people had wronged her. People who knew Jennifer San Marco, who had worked with her, they described her as a pretty woman. But once they got to know her, she had some deep inner demons. She would often talk to herself. She would have conversations with somebody next to her, even though there was nobody next to her. So it sounded like maybe she had some voices in her head. Jennifer San Marco was 44 years old. She had previously worked several jobs in the Santa Barbara area. And at one point, she even worked as a dispatcher for the Santa Barbara Police Department. Eventually, she began working for the United States Postal Service here in Goleta, but coworkers soon noticed something unusual. Her behavior began to change. She believed people were watching her, talking about her, and plotting against her. Over time, those beliefs became stronger and more intense. In 2003, deputies were called to the Postal Service after Jennifer San Marco began behaving oddly at work. She was eventually taken into custody and placed on a 72-hour psychiatric hold. Not long after that incident, she left the job and eventually moved to New Mexico. But investigators later discovered something unsettling. Even after leaving California, San Marco continued writing about the postal facility. She believed people there were involved in some kind of conspiracy against her. Before returning to Goleta that night, Jennifer San Marco shaved her head. Investigators believe she may have done this so former coworkers might not immediately recognize her, which raises a disturbing possibility. She may have known exactly where she was going and exactly what she intended to do. Right behind me is the United States Postal Service Processing and Distribution Center in Goleta. On the night of January 30th, about 80 employees were working the overnight shift inside this building. sorting mail, processing packages, just another routine night at work. But shortly after 9 p.m., Jennifer San Marco arrived here. To enter the property, she followed another vehicle through the security gate. Once inside the parking lot, she approached a postal worker and forced them to give her their identification badge. Moments later, the shooting began. The first shots were fired in the parking lot. San Marco shot postal worker Z. Fairchild. She then shot Malika Higgins and Nicola Grant. Inside the building, workers suddenly heard gunshots echoing through the facility. Some ran, others hid behind sorting machines. One employee ran to a nearby fire station to get help. But Jennifer continued moving through the building. She shot Guadalupe Swartz. She shot Dexter Shannon, a Vietnam veteran who had been working with headphones on and never heard the gunfire coming. And she shot Charlotte Colton, a supervisor who later died from injuries 2 days later. Within minutes, 6 employees were dead. By the time law enforcement began arriving at the facility, the attack was already over. Jennifer San Marco turned the gun on herself inside the building. 7 people had died that night. 1 at the condominium complex in Santa Barbara, 6 here at the postal facility in Goleta. When investigators searched San Marco's home in New Mexico, they found writings filled with paranoia and references to conspiracies. She believed people in Santa Barbara and at the postal facility were somehow working against her. So here's the front of the building. Unfortunately, you can't get to it, but there is, by this flagpole, there's a plaque with the victims' names and then these olive trees. There should be 6 olive trees here. Where's my finger? Oh, that's terrible. There should be 6 olive trees here. And these were planted in a memorial for the 6 USPS victims. And there's a plaque with their names on it here by the flagpole. This was dedicated, I believe, a year later. Unfortunately, I can't get to it because it's behind the employee gate. So this is the building. You gotta scan your badge in order to get in. There's a camera there, so obviously they are much more secure than they used to be. And if you guys made it this far into the video, I appreciate you guys watching As Seen by Dave. Make sure you guys are liking, subscribing to my YouTube channel. Follow me on socials, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. And until next time, As Seen by Dave, out.